Love is a verb, it ain't a thing. It's not something you own, it's not something you scream. When you show me love, I don't need your words. Yeah, love ain't a thing. Love is a verb, love ain't a thing. Love is a verb. Love ain't a crutch, it ain't an excuse. No, you can't get through love on just a pile of IOUs. Love ain't a drug, despite what you've heard. Yeah, love ain't a thing. Love is a verb. Love ain't a thing. Love is a verb. So you gotta show me, show me, love is a verb. So you gotta show me, show me, love is a verb. Love ain't a thing, love is a verb. Yeah, you gotta show me, show me, love is a verb. Yeah, you gotta show me, love is a verb. Love ain't a thing, love is a verb.
Gather the spirit, harvest the part. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this art. Our trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the sowing are laid in store. Nurtured in love and conscience refined. With body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit growing in all.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Kristen Green. I am the Assistant Minister at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Fairfax in Oakton, Virginia. This morning I bring you welcoming words by our colleague Reverend Erica Hewitt entitled, "To Learn More About Being Human." Welcome to this morning, this day, and this opportunity to be together in community, which is a time of joy, comfort, and sometimes challenges. This Unitarian Universalist congregation is a place where we come to learn more about being human. We're not here because we've figured out life's questions or because we think we've got it right. We come here to learn more about being in relationship together, how to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, and how to create trust and compassion in one another. From wherever you are joining us this morning, you are welcome. Let us move into worship, willing to be authentic with each other, honest with ourselves, and open to connection in all its forms. Blessed be, may it be so, and amen.
Our call to worship this morning comes from Sylvia Howe. These words: "We bid you welcome on this first Sunday of the new year.
We gather on the edge of the new year, saddened by our losses, cherishing our joys, aware of our failures, mindful of days gone by.
We gather on the cusp of this new year, eager to begin anew, hopeful for what lies ahead, promising to make changes, anticipating tomorrows and tomorrows.
We invite you to join our celebration of life,
knowing that life includes good and bad, endings and beginnings.
We
bid
you
welcome."
If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to light your chalice with me today. In this fallow season, after all the days and all the words and all the silence, we begin again, lighting our chalice together, whose flame calls us to love.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being. my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
Hello, I'm the Reverend Carol Thomas Sissel. I serve our congregation in Arlington, Virginia as the Minister of Social Justice and Community Development. That's a long title just to say what I try to do is build community inside the church and outside in the world. On this New Year's Day, I've brought you a reading that was written by Robert Walsh. It's called It Matters. I knew a man who had printed on his stationery a proverb: nothing is settled, everything matters. It established a certain ambiance when you were reading his letters. It was as if he said, what you're about to read is to be taken very seriously, but it is not final. I remember him in this proverb sometimes, especially when it seems impossible to change the world or myself, especially when I can't make a significant change. Times like this is when I think of that Proverbs, times like the beginning of a new year. Sorry, Jim, I say to his memory, it's not true that nothing is settled. In the past year, choices have been made, losses have been suffered, there has been growth and decay, there have been commitments and betrayals. None of that can be undone. A year ago, no one knew whether during this year a person might become pregnant, or a person might take a new job, or someone may get cancer, or another might have an accident and be injured for life. But now all of those things are settled. One day in this year, I was present just when someone needed me the most. But on another day, I was busy doing something else when I was needed. One day, I said something to a friend that cracked our relationship, that injured her. Another day, I said something that enabled a person to see life in a whole new way. The best and the worst of those days is now written. All my tears, all my joy, all my sorrow cannot erase it. Wait, my friend would have said. Wait, you misunderstood the proverb. It's true that you can't escape the consequences of your actions or the chances we have to take in the world. But what is not settled is how the story turns out. What is not settled is what the meaning of your life will be. The meaning of a life is not contained in one single act, or one day, or 1 year, or one moment, or 1 second of time. As long as you are alive, the story of your life is being told and retold, and the meaning of all of it is still open. As long as there is life in the world, the story of the world is being told and retold. Yes, what is done, but nothing is settled. And if nothing is settled, then everything matters. Every choice, every act in the new year, every word, every deed is making the meaning of life and telling the story of the world. Everything matters in the year ahead, in the year coming, and more importantly, everything matters today. The words of Robert Walsh. It matters. Happy New Year.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky fly with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with a wind, let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Just take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. The morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Let the sun shine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
When my now young adult children were small, our family created a few winter holiday rituals of our own, in addition to continuing those inherited from grandparents and great-grandparents. We still had cheese fondue on Christmas Eve and opened one gift after fondue and the rest on Christmas morning. But we also included celebrations on the winter solstice. We would sing to the apple trees and offer them wassail to ensure a good harvest. We made beeswax candles together. And to celebrate the year just past, on New Year's Eve or even New Year's Day, we would sit together and create memory apple chains. The idea came from a book of stories and activities for pagan families, especially those with young children. The story connected with memory apples told of the Norse goddess of fertility, Idun. She was keeper of the apples, which contributed to the long lives and good health of the other Norse gods and goddesses. To make the chains, we cut out apple shapes, either one at a time or in a connected chain, and wrote one memory on each apple. We included the happy and sad memories, successes, and mistakes. We hung these chains in our kitchen, the most popular room in the house, and then kept them with our holiday ornaments until the next year. Memories, like apples, have many flavors, complex and simple, tart and sweet. Some are even spitters, so bitter that only time and some added ingredients will make them palatable. Our family apple chains from those years ago were lost through relationship changes and relocations. It's time for new apples, even as we embrace familiar rituals. May your year and your apples nourish you.
Did you make any New Year's resolutions? At this time of year, we are often asked that question. So often, we are told that these resolutions must be commitments to change something about ourselves, our bodies, or who we are, in order for other people to like us and accept us more. And equally often, it just so happens that someone is ready to sell us the very thing we need to make this change. Other times, we might think that a resolution for the new year must be about accomplishing something sensational, something that we think might bring us high praise and intense satisfaction. Please do not get me wrong. It is an important spiritual practice to reflect on our lives and set goals for the future. It is also an important spiritual practice to learn from the past and to consider how we might be more loving, kind, and just, or how we might better contribute to the building of beloved community. At the same time, it is also an important spiritual practice to set aside our striving and our laboring and to take time to rest our bodies, and to rest our spirits in the abiding love that will never let us go. When I need to find this kind of rest, I think of one of my heroes, Mr. Fred Rogers, whose television neighborhood and land of make-believes are still some of my hometowns. 20 years ago, he spoke to a bunch of young people who were on the verge of a major transition as they graduated from college. He said the following, which I've adapted only slightly. There's a neighborhood song that is meant for the child in each of us, and I'd like to give you the words of that song right now. It's you I like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair, but it's you I like. The way you are right now, the way down deep inside you, not the things that hide you. Not your clothes and your things, they're just beside you. But it's you I like. Every part of you, your skin, your eyes, your feelings, whether old or new, I hope that you remember, even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like. It's you, yourself, it's you. It's you I like. Mr. Rogers continued, and what that ultimately means, of course, is that you don't ever have to do anything sensational for people to love you. When I say it's you I like, I'm talking about that part of you that knows that life is far more than anything you can ever explore with your physical senses. That deep part of you that allows you to side with those things without which humankind cannot survive. Love that conquers hate, peace that rises triumphant over war, and justice that proves more powerful than greed. So in all that you do in your life, I wish you the strength and the grace to make those choices, which will allow you and your neighbor to become the best of whoever you are. Mr. Rogers has a way with words. And so, beloveds, my prayer for all of us is that during this time of New Year's resolutions, we remain in touch with that part of us that is and always has been worthy of love. May it be so today and always.
There is always a light
when we are ready to see it.
There is always a light when we are ready to be it.
To see the light, to be the light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night,
to climb this hill.
Together we will shine your light in the dark. We are ready to see it. Shine your light in the dark. We are ready to be it. To see the light, to be light, to raise our eyes in the dark of night and be again. Together we will.
There's always light. There's always light. There's always light. There's always light. To see the light, to be the light, to shine. There's always light. There's always light. There's always light. There's always light. To see the light, to be the light, to shine. There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. Be the light.
Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year to you. I'm Reverend Karen Rasmussen, and I'm glad to be here with you on this very first morning of 2023. Thank you to all the organizers and the tech assistants that helped bring this worship service to you today. We come together on this first day of January to begin again in love. For those of you that know me, you might remember that I spent several years living in Ireland, and we traditionally sang Auld Lang Syne on New Year's Eve. I know we sing it here too, and maybe you've heard it last night. You might know that the song Auld Lang Syne started from a Scottish poem written by Robert Burns in 1788, and then was set to a traditional folk tune. The Scottish words Auld Lang Syne mean old long since, or old long, long ago, or days gone by. I found it really interesting to look at the poem by Burns, which of course was written in Old Scot, and then I read it with a more recent English translation. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and Auld Lang Syne? It means, should we not think of the people in our lives that aren't with us now and the days gone by, the time of long, long ago? The chorus is, for Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for those days and times that have long gone by. And surely you'll buy your pint cup, and surely I will buy mine, and we'll take a cup of kindness yet to remember those days from long, long ago that have gone by. I love that line. I love that line, and we'll take a cup of kindness yet. What does the word kindness really mean? It means being considerate and courteous, helpful and understanding of others, showing care and compassion and friendship and generosity, treating others as you would like to be treated. A kind person shows concern for the feelings of others and is helpful and generous. It's often a soft word, and so many of our stronger emotions and feelings can overshadow kindness. But the simple word has a power all to its own. In our over 2+ years of the pandemic, you might have felt every emotion under the sun and the moon, fear and anger and frustration and helplessness and sadness and so much more. I know that I have felt the whole spectrum of emotions, and maybe you have too. Our emotions with the elections during all of this can compound all of these feelings, plus just pile on a whole bunch of new ones too. And sometimes kindness floats up to the surface, but often it's forgotten. It's often not considered a major player in the things we do for ourselves and for others. I think that kindness needs a resurgence. Even just thinking about Auld Lang Syne and cups of kindness helped me to remember when Old acquaintances have been kind to me over the years. It helped me to be so aware of any act of kindness and appreciate any wee bits of kindness shared with me, with us in the here and now. Even in my crabbiness, and oh my God, I get so crabby, and even in my weariness of humankind, and on my days when I'm not even close to my best self, one act of kindness, of this power of compassion, can make such an impact on me. In this new year and on this day, I invite you to have a rekindling of the power of kindness, and may it bring forth a fire to begin again in love. May we have a resurgence of what it means to be courteous and considerate and helpful to others and to ourselves. Let's put kindness up front and let it take on a strength and a power and a frequency that becomes a bellwether for our behavior. May we lean into kindness and keep that as a guiding star. So I raise this cup of kindness to you, and may we toast the new year and begin again in love. Amen.
January is named after the Roman god Janus, the deity of thresholds. His image was often found over doorways in Roman structures. To the ancient Romans, Janus was the god of transitions, of beginnings and endings. Accordingly, he was celebrated at the Roman New Year, which is the same as the New Year we celebrate today. Janus is a god of liminal spaces, both literal and metaphorical. Now, as humans, we often seek security and comfort found in certainty. But as portals, places between here and there, point A and point B, liminal spaces deny us that certainty. Consequently, liminal spaces can be frightening and unsettling because of the unknowing that transitions create. A liminal space, like a hallway, doorway, or gate, is never a destination. No. Such passages are just means to an end, and we often hurry through them in our haste to get to where we want to go. But liminal spaces can be magical places that offer us respite, a moment to be still and empty, a chance to pause and reflect on what has been and what could be, maybe even what we have been and what we could be. Liminal spaces offer choices and thus are filled with possibility. Perhaps that's why the ancient Romans venerated Janus in their new year. After all the revelry of Saturnalia, which was the Roman solstice celebration, Janus invited reflection over the passage of time. Perhaps the ancient Romans recognized that we were always moving from one point to another. Or, as blogger Brittany Chaffee said, in life, we are mostly fluid. And that fluidness is what makes us stunningly alive. We grow with that watering. We tell stories because of that richness of uncertainty and blankness. We cannot paint without a blank canvas. This white space is where we start. Brittany Chaffee. Yes, the liminal is where we start. And in a sense, we are always beginning something, even if it's only a new day. And we're always ending something too. If all is going well, we are always in the process of transformation. But we needn't be afraid. The liminal space, be it physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, is a place of rest before one moves on, before one becomes something else. In our frenzied society with its 24/7 news cycle and never-ending chatter on social media, the liminal offers us a space to breathe, to be, and maybe to experience a little bit of magic. So in the coming days, love those liminal moments for the restoration and transformation they offer.
Here in reverence now we gather for the blessings we have known, with a pledge to one another
May we leave this space with warmth in our hearts, renewed, replenished, ready to begin again. As we enter this new year and each new day, let us release the angst of yesterday and resentments of times past. May we begin again in love.
Beloveds, as our time together draws to a close, let us extinguish our chalices with these words. A blessing for our new year from Enfleshed. In threshold places, where endings meet beginnings, we reflect backwards as we move forward. What can we learn from the year past, from how evil played its cards, or from relationships gained and lost? What brought you deep delight when everything was swirling? To whom were you able to turn to, and who challenged you to grow? Individually and collectively, none of us are the same. For some of these changes we weep, and for others we rejoice. But from each other we carry something forward, a feeling, a lesson, a memory, a challenge, a call to solidarity. Collectively, we acknowledge a closing and an opening, a fresh start that offers only as much meaning as we need from it, inviting us not to wage war on ourselves, but just to pause, pay attention to our longings and our pain, and what we might learn from them about how we wish to live. A new year does not need to mean a new you. You do not need to make demands of yourself grounded in messages that are only meant to make you feel inadequate or unlovable. Your worth is ineffable. That is a constant that carries from year to year. And so move gently with yourself into 2023, naming instead words of possibility, committing to that which calls you, letting yourself be lured by the sacred in the direction of your most powerful becoming. Make only resolutions that will lead to more flourishing of life, yours and others. Reject individualistic notions of success or failure, and channel your growing in the directions of what we can create, of what we can divest from, of what we can abolish, of what we must claim, of what we must fight, of what we can become.